When news broke that Shedeur Sanders' new NFL deal might include a wild, unconventional, prime equity clause, allegedly tying him to KFC itself, the sports world didn't just raise its eyebrows. It did a double take. You heard that right. Not performance bonuses. Not a sneaker deal. Not a social media campaign. Equity. Chicken. And before you roll your eyes or laugh it off, let's unpack how insane and genius this move actually is.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Picture this. Rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders walks into the NFL, a league that's been paying players the same way for decades. Salary. Signing bonus. Maybe some incentives. If you're lucky, a shoe deal on the side. Standard. Predictable. But Shedeur? He's not built for standard. He's not built for predictable. This is the son of Deion Sanders, primetime himself, the man who redefined athlete branding before social media even existed. You think Shedeur's going to settle for a cookie-cutter deal? Please. Instead, he flips the script. The rumored prime equity clause in his contract doesn't just pay him to show up on Sundays. It ties his success, his brand, and his influence to ownership. In this case, KFC, the Colonel's empire. We're talking buckets, biscuits, and billion-dollar branding, literally tied to Shedeur's future. And that's when the conversation shifts. Because endorsements fade. Sponsorships dry up. But equity? Equity compounds. Let's make this plain. When you get paid in cash, it spends. It's gone. You pay the bills, you buy the cars, you flex for Instagram, and before you know it, poof. But when you get paid in equity, you're not just cashing a check. You're building a stake in something that grows while you sleep. If this clause is real, and if Shedeur really does have prime equity tied into KFC, then every time you see someone roll up to the drive-thru, every crispy drumstick sold, every bucket carried out of that store, that's not just KFC making money. That's Shedeur Sanders making money. Generational wealth. Passive wealth. Ownership wealth. That's not athlete as employee. That's athlete as entrepreneur. And in today's culture, that's the future. But here's where it gets spicy. Because not everyone's cheering. NFL traditionalists, the ones who believe contracts should be about grit, sweat, and touchdowns, hate this. They see it as a distraction. A departure from pure football. They're the same voices who clutched pearls when players started focusing on social media or when stars like LeBron James started calling themselves moguls. To them, Shedeur's KFC clause looks like arrogance. Like skipping steps. Like a rookie daring to play mogul before throwing his first NFL touchdown. But here's the truth. They're not mad because it's wrong. They're mad because it's different. And difference always scares the gatekeepers. Now let's talk big picture. Shedeur Sanders isn't just securing himself. He's potentially creating a blueprint for every future athlete. Think about it. What if tomorrow's rookies aren't just signing contracts with teams, but with brands? What if athletes start demanding equity in the companies they represent, instead of just getting paid to wear a logo or hold a cup on camera? That flips the entire industry. No more, here's $1 million to pose in our commercial. Now it's, give me ownership or I'll make my own brand. And that's terrifying for the old system. Because once one player pulls it off, everyone else is going to want the same deal. It's disruption. The kind Silicon Valley loves, but the NFL hates. And let's not forget the cultural impact. Shedeur tying himself to KFC isn't random. It's strategic. Fried chicken isn't just food, it's cultural shorthand. It's iconic. It's global. From TV ads to halftime cravings, everyone knows the red and white bucket. So now, every time KFC pops up in conversation, whose name rides shotgun? Shedeur Sanders. That's branding. That's influence. That's primetime marketing. And let's be honest, the synergy writes itself. Buckets on the field. Buckets off it. Finger-licking wins. Extra crispy highlights. It's almost too perfect. But let's zoom out. This isn't just about fried chicken. This is about the Sanders family building an empire. Dion reinvented himself from NFL star to media personality to college coach to cultural icon. He taught his kids that football isn't the whole picture, it's just the launch pad. Shedeur absorbed that lesson early. He saw his dad refuse to be boxed into just an athlete. He saw Prime turn charisma into cash flow. And now, he's doing the same thing but tailored to his generation. He's not waiting until retirement to become a mogul. He's not planning to figure it out later. He's figuring it out now. At the start. At the rookie level. Before he's even started his highlight reel. That's not arrogance. That's foresight. And here's the irony. People forget that NFL players have one of the shortest career windows in all of sports. The average career? 3 years. 3. So if you're not thinking about life beyond the field while you're on it, you're already losing. That's why Shedeur's play here isn't just smart, it's survival. He's securing wealth streams that don't depend on his arm, his health, or the Browns' offensive line. Even if football chews him up in 5 years, KFC will still be selling chicken in 50. That's legacy. So where does this go? Maybe Shedeur's deal sparks a new trend. Maybe the next rookie QB negotiates equity in a tech company, a fashion line, or even crypto. Maybe a defensive star ties himself to Nike shares instead of just a sneaker check. And suddenly, the NFL doesn't just look like a sports league, it looks like a Wall Street playground, where athletes become investors as much as competitors. That scares people. But it excites others. Because the athlete of the future? He's not just playing for rings. He's playing for empires. Of course, the backlash will come. It already has. Focus on football. Earn it first. Don't count your chicken before it's fried. But those voices? They'll fade. Because they always do. The same way people laughed at Michael Jordan for wanting his own sneaker line. The same way people dismissed LeBron for chasing production companies and media ventures. Now those same voices are silent while the bank accounts tell the story. Shedeur Sanders' prime equity clause might sound crazy today. But 10 years from now? Don't be surprised when it's the norm. Because the next generation of athletes won't just be players. They'll be owners. So let's wrap this up. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback warming up on NFL sidelines. He's a brand architect, a business strategist, a culture shifter. And if this KFC prime equity deal is real, it's not just about fried chicken. It's about fried expectations. About breaking the mold of what an athlete can and should be. About redefining the very concept of contract. This isn't football as usual. This is football as empire. Now I'll put it to you. Do you think Shedeur's prime equity deal is genius or over the top? Is this the future of athlete contracts, or just a flashy gimmick? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear where you stand. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe. Because these stories? They're not just about sports. They're about culture, business, and the moments that shift everything. And trust me, Shedeur Sanders? He's not just playing the game. He's rewriting it. The NFL was never built for players to be owners. It was built for them to be employees. Assets. Replaceable parts in a machine that prints billions for the league and the owners up top. You come in, you work, you entertain, you retire, and if you're lucky, you leave with some savings and a couple of endorsement checks. That's the system. But Shedeur? He's not here to be a cog in that wheel. He's here to own the damn wheel. And that's what makes this alleged prime equity clause so important. Because if it's true, if he really does have an ownership stake tied to KFC, if he's earning equity while he's earning yards, then we're looking at the first real crack in the NFL's old model. Now, picture the contrast. On one side, you've got the old school player contract. Salary, signing bonus, performance incentives, maybe a brand deal on the side. All short-term money. All dependent on staying healthy, staying productive, and staying in favor with coaches and front offices. On the other side, you've got Shedeur Sanders saying, "Pay me differently. Don't just cut me a check, cut me in." That's a whole different energy. That's not employee talk. That's boardroom talk. And here's the kicker. It's not even just about Shedeur. This kind of move sends shockwaves through locker rooms across the league. Because once one rookie plants that flag, every other player starts thinking, wait, why can't I do that too? That's how revolutions start. Not with a bang, but with a clause. And let's not play dumb here. The Sanders name carries weight. Deion Sanders isn't just Shedeur's dad, he's the prototype. The original disruptor. The man who danced, strutted, and shouted his way into every living room in America, while also dominating on the field. Deion didn't just play football. He turned it into entertainment. He turned it into a brand. And that's exactly what Shedeur is doing now, only with the playbook of a 21st century mogul. Deion wore the gold chains and told us who he was. Shedeur? He's signing contracts with clauses that make Wall Street take notes. Same DNA, different tools. Same ambition. Now, let's talk symbolism for a second. Why KFC? Why fried chicken? Why this brand of all brands for Shedeur to allegedly tie himself to? Because KFC isn't just fast food, it's cultural shorthand. It's global. You can find that red and white bucket in Tokyo, in London, in Johannesburg. It's comfort food. It's iconic. It's Americana wrapped in grease and nostalgia. So when Shedeur ties himself to that, he's not just making money. He's embedding himself into culture. He's saying, my name belongs next to the bucket. And don't underestimate how strategic that is. Because this is bigger than football fans. This is tapping into consumer culture. This is marketing that goes way beyond the gridiron. Every time KFC runs a commercial, that's Shedeur. Every time someone posts a bucket meme on Twitter, that's Shedeur. Every time you smell those 11 herbs and spices, guess who's cashing in? It's not an endorsement. It's ownership. And that distinction is everything. But here's where it gets messy. Not everyone is ready for this. You've already got analysts and talking heads clutching their pearls. They're saying, focus on football. They're saying, earn your stripes before you chase business ventures. But you know what that is? That's fear. That's resistance. That's the old guard realizing the new guard is about to take their power. Because once athletes stop being satisfied with checks, once they start demanding equity, suddenly the owners don't look so untouchable anymore. Suddenly the billion-dollar corporations that have used athletes as billboards start sweating. Because athletes aren't asking for sponsorships, they're asking for seats at the table. And Shedeur? He's sitting down first. Let's take a beat and think generationally. LeBron James built Spring Hill Entertainment and became a billionaire while still playing. Tom Brady built TB12 and became a lifestyle brand. Serena Williams became a venture capitalist, investing in startups while still winning Grand Slams. But all of those moves came after dominance. After years of proving themselves as athletes first. Shedeur's doing it at the start. That's the game changer. He's not waiting until after he's built a legacy on the field. He's building legacy in parallel. He's saying, why should I wait until retirement to act like a mogul? Why can't I do both? And honestly, why can't he? Now let's imagine the ripple effect. If this model sticks, if Shedeur's prime equity clause becomes a proof of concept, what happens next? Quarterbacks tying themselves to energy drink companies. Wide receivers cutting into fashion labels. Running backs demanding slices of tech startups instead of just bonus money. Suddenly, the NFL isn't just about salaries and contracts, it's about portfolios. Locker room conversations won't just be about coverages and blitz packages, they'll be about equity splits and valuations. And the line between athlete and entrepreneur? It'll vanish completely. But let's not ignore the risks. Because moves like this come with baggage. If Shedeur starts slow, if the Browns stumble, if the headlines turn against him, critics are going to come out swinging. Oh, he was too focused on business. Oh, he cared more about KFC than the playbook. Oh, he's trying to be a mogul before being a quarterback. And that's the double standard. Because if a billionaire owner runs 10 businesses while running a football team, he's called savvy. But if a rookie quarterback diversifies his revenue streams, suddenly he's distracted. That's the culture shift Shedeur is challenging. And honestly, it's overdue. Here's the bottom line. Whether you love this move or hate it, you can't deny it's a statement. It's Shedeur Sanders walking into the league and saying, "I'm not here to play small. I'm not here to just take orders. I'm here to build empires." And that mindset? That's bigger than football. That's bigger than endorsements. That's bigger than any touchdown he'll ever throw. Because when we look back in 20 years, Shedeur might not just be remembered as a quarterback. He might be remembered as the player who redefined what it means to sign an NFL contract. Not employee. Not just athlete. Think about how the NFL has always treated players. Your talent. Your labor. You show up, you play, you entertain, and you get paid. End of story. If you're special enough, a brand might slide in with an endorsement deal. A shoe company. A soda commercial. Maybe a fast food chain slaps your face on a poster for a limited time. But here's the catch, you don't own any of it. You're the billboard, not the boss. You're the salesman, not the shareholder. And then here comes Shedeur, a rookie, with the nerve to say, "No, no, no. Don't just pay me to sell your product. Cut me in. Give me a slice. If I'm building your value with my face, my play, my charisma, then I deserve equity in your company." Do you see how bold that is? That's a completely different mindset. It's not endorsement. It's partnership. And if this is the future, then Shedeur Sanders just cracked open the door to a brand new era of athlete power. Now, why does this matter so much? Because the NFL is an unforgiving place. The average career lasts 3 years. That's it. 3 years and you're gone. Injuries, depth charts, new draft picks, it doesn't matter. Most players don't stick long enough to build serious wealth. So what do? You maximize those 3 years. You think long-term while everyone else is stuck in short-term. You make your money work while you're still making highlights. That's what prime equity is about. If Shedeur's tying himself to KFC, then even if football spits him out tomorrow, he's still got skin in the game. He's still cashing checks from buckets of chicken. He's still building something that will live far beyond his rookie contract. That's not just smart. That's survival disguised as swagger. And let's not ignore the cultural weight here. Because attaching yourself to KFC? That's not some random pick. That's intentional. KFC is a global powerhouse. It's iconic. It's instantly recognizable. Whether you're in New York, Beijing, or Johannesburg, you know the Colonel. You know the bucket. So if Shedeur's face and brand are tied into that, he's not just a quarterback. He's global. He's crossing over from athlete to cultural figure. That's how moguls are made. Because the truth is, football has limits. You're only visible to hardcore fans. But food? Everyone eats. Food is universal. And Shedeur Sanders being tied to a food empire? That's influence that stretches beyond the NFL. That's kids in other countries knowing his name, even if they've never watched a snap of American football. But here's the part that makes this fascinating, the backlash. Because for every person calling Shedeur a genius, there's another calling him a distraction. Focus on football first. Earn your stripes before you chase equity. Don't count your chickens before they're fried. And sure, it's a clever criticism. But let's break down what's really being said there. People don't like when athletes, especially young athletes, demand power. They want them to play the role. Be grateful. Stay quiet. Work hard. Let the system reward you when it's ready. But Shedeur? He's not waiting for permission. He's demanding power on the front end. He's skipping the line. He's saying, "Why should I wait until I'm 30 to act like a mogul when I can start now?" And that's exactly why he's catching flack. Because disruption never looks comfortable in the moment. Let's look at the history of this playbook. Michael Jordan didn't just sign with Nike. He demanded his own shoe. At the time, people thought it was risky. Silly even. Why would a rookie deserve his own sneaker? Fast forward. Jordan built a billion-dollar empire off the Jumpman logo. He's bigger than the sport itself. LeBron James? Same thing. He didn't just settle for endorsement deals. He built Spring Hill Entertainment. He became a storyteller, a producer, a businessman. People called him unfocused. But he's a billionaire mogul while still dropping 30 points a night. Serena Williams? She turned prize money into a venture capital firm. While dominating on the court, She was quietly investing in startups that exploded in value. And now Shedeur's pulling a similar move. Only difference? He's doing it before throwing an NFL touchdown. That's unprecedented. And that's why people don't know how to handle it. Now let's talk legacy. Because this isn't just about Shedeur, it's about the Sanders family brand. Deion Sanders didn't just raise football players. He raised entrepreneurs, leaders, disruptors. He raised kids who see the field as one part of a much bigger game. Deion was prime time. He was flashy, magnetic, unstoppable. But beneath the chains and the celebrations, he was a marketing genius. He understood that image was money, that charisma was currency. And now Shedeur is applying that same principle, but through contracts, clauses, and ownership. It's prime time 2.0, not just on the field, but in the boardroom. So where does this go? If the prime equity clause proves successful, it's going to change everything. Other athletes will start demanding the same thing. Rookie contracts will no longer just be about guaranteed money, they'll be about guaranteed ownership. Imagine a star wide receiver tying himself to an energy drink company, a running back negotiating equity in a tech startup, a defensive end building wealth off stock in a fitness brand. That's where this is headed. Athletes won't just be playing the game. They'll be playing the market. And the NFL? They won't be able to stop it. Because once one athlete proves it works, everyone else will follow. But here's the genius of Shedeur starting this wave. He's doing it with KFC. It's not risky. It's not untested. It's not some random startup that could flop in a year. It's KFC, a brand that's been printing money for decades. That's the perfect balance of bold and safe. You're not just investing, you're inheriting stability. And that's how you build generational wealth. That's how you make sure your name lives longer than your stats. Because let's be honest, 5-10 years from now, nobody will remember the exact completion percentage of Shedeur's rookie season. But they will remember if he was the first NFL player to sign a deal that included a fried chicken empire. That's the difference between memory and legacy. So let's zoom all the way out. What Shedeur is doing is more than a contract. It's more than a business move. It's a statement. He's saying, I refuse to be just a player. I refuse to be just labor. I refuse to let my prime years make everyone else rich while I just collect a check. He's saying, I'm not just the product. I'm the partner. And whether you love it or hate it, you can't ignore it. Because Shedeur Sanders just pulled off the hardest move in sports. He made a fast food clause look like a cultural revolution. So now the ball's in your court. Do you think Shedeur's prime equity clause is the future of athlete contracts? Or is it just a flashy experiment that won't last? Should rookies even be negotiating ownership? Or is this exactly the kind of disruption that keeps sports alive and evolving? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what side you're on. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe. Because this channel isn't just about scores and highlights. It's about the culture, the chaos, the contracts, and the curveballs that shape sports in ways nobody sees coming. And Shedeur Sanders? He's not just throwing passes. He's throwing the future in our faces, one bucket at a time.